and salam perpaduan. Thanks for joining us. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos and you're watching News at 10. Well, in our top stories tonight, Prime Minister pledges to make economic revival and improve living standards. In our second headline, 10 million ringgit aid to be distributed to paddy farmers starting January. Well, Yang di Tuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Ri'aituddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Haja Aziza Aminah Maimuna Iskandaria extended their 2023 New Year's greetings and offered their prayers for the well-being of the people, as well as peace and harmony of the country. Now, the greetings of the King and Queen was uploaded in Istana Negara's official Facebook. Now, in their message, the King and Queen prayed for the people to be blessed with good health, wealth, prosperity, and be protected from any type of disaster. Now, this year's New Year's Eve celebrations that was initially planned at Dataran Merdeka tonight was called off by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim due to floods in several states and in consideration of issues faced by the people. Well, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has given his assurance that the development of the nation will continue, while at the same time he pledges to ensure that the plight of the needy will be dealt with. In his New Year message, Datuk Seri Anwar also urges Malaysians to take advantage of existing strengths to generate economic growth that convinces investors. Well, in addition, Datuk Seri Anwar also said that he will not tolerate any negligence that can destroy the country. Earlier this evening, the Prime Minister joined in a congregation of over 2,000 people in a Solat Hajat in Yasin recital in conjunction with the Munajat Ambang Tahun Baru 2023 program at the Putra Mosque in Putrajaya. Well, he arrived at the mosque at about 6:21 p.m. and was accompanied by Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs, Datuk Seri Muhammad Naim Mokhtar, for a meal before joining the congregational Maghrib prayer. Well, also present were Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and several cabinet ministers. The Grand Imam of the Putra Mosque, Salahuddin Ghazali, led the congregational Maghrib prayers, followed by the Salat Hajat, Yasin recital and prayer ceremony. Well, all parties are urged to put aside their differences and work as a team to realize the aspiration of building a prosperous country. In making this call, Chief Secretary to the government, Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali, said the synergy of close cooperation among all parties in the government, the private sector, and also the people is the main ingredient for all of them to move together to achieve the aspiration. Well, in a post on Facebook today, in conjunction with the new year, Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki said the arrival of 2023 comes with various hopes and dreams for the country to continue to prosper. He also called on members of the civil service to always be prepared and dedicated, as well as to give their full commitment to ensuring that reforms mooted by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim can be implemented. Well, this is for the stability and well-being of the country. He added the various episodes of ups and downs in 2022 were experiences and lessons to be used by civil servants to continue to improve the quality of service delivery to all stakeholders. Well, meanwhile, RTM also asked Malaysians about their outlook for the year 2023. And here are their thoughts and hopes.
Bagi tahun 2023, harapan saya sebagai rakyat Malaysia sangat besarlah. Diharap negara kita lebih terkenal dan lebih maju di arena dunia. Dengan pemimpin yang baru, diharap kita membawa satu sinar yang sangat positif.
Harapan saya untuk melihat pimpinan baharu ini adalah ruang di mana setiap rakyat diberi space dan juga aspirasi untuk berkongsi pendapat bersama. Maksudnya it's a two-way communication. Kita juga boleh menyuarakan apa yang kita minta, pada masa yang sama dia juga boleh bersama-sama. So it's like a merge between two things.
Dari segi untuk rakyat pula, diharap pihak kerajaan yang ada sekarang ni dapat membantulah, sebab selepas endemik ni banyak rakyat telah terkesan, supaya ekonomi tu dirancang dengan baik balik, pelabur boleh ditarik balik semula supaya ekonomi kita makmur seperti sedia kala.
Harapan untuk tahun 2023, semoga Malaysia terus dalam keadaan makmur, aman dan sejahtera dalam menghadapi pelbagai cabaran dan dugaan lah. Lebih-lebih lagi kepada tahun-tahun yang lepas, dan sebagai anak muda, saya berharap anak muda pada tahun hadapan lebih lagi banyakkan semangat perjuangkan Malaysia, mempertahankan Malaysia.
So, saya harap tahun 2023 ni akan satu perubahan yang baru dari segi ekonomi dan perancangan-perancangan lain lah. Yang penting pendidikan untuk anak-anak kita.
Well, Parti Beras Nasional Berhad, Bernas special assistance amounting to 10 million ringgit for 2022 will be distributed in stages to paddy farmers in Kelantan, Terengganu and Pahang from January. Agriculture and Food Security Minister Muhammad Sabu said the aid would be given to paddy farmers in the 3 East Coast states first, while those in other states would receive aid when the remaining Bernas special aid totaling 50 million ringgit is distributed. While the minister said paddy farmers in the 3 states involved will receive this special assistance no later than 16 January. Well, a total of 20,598 paddy farmers are standing to benefit from Bernas's contribution of 250 ringgit for each of them. Well, it said the ministry and agencies under it are finalizing the lists of farmers' names and bank account numbers in the 3 states to ensure the distribution process runs smoothly. Earlier this month, Bernas agreed to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim's request that an allocation of 60 million ringgit be provided to help paddy farmers nationwide. Toll rates on the Sungai Besi Expressway or Besraya and the Kajang Seremban Expressway, Lekas, will be reduced starting at 12:01 midnight. And Public Works Minister Datuk Seri Alexander Nantalinggi, when announcing this, said the reduction in the toll rate was made after the discussion and agreement of the concession company of the 2 highways, IJM Corporation Berhad, in line with the decision of the Cabinet on 21st December. Now, the minister explained that through the reduction in toll rates starting at midnight tonight, Class 1 vehicles passing through any Besraya Expressway toll plaza will pay 1 ringgit 85 cent one way, while motorists using the entire Lekas Expressway will pay 7 ringgit 80 cent each way. Now, the current toll rate is 2 ringgit one way for Class 1 vehicles passing through any Besraya Expressway toll plaza and 8 ringgit 30 cent one way for Class 1 vehicles that use the entire Lekas Expressway. Through restructuring the structure and toll rates for these 2 highways, the government is able to save an estimated 1.978 billion ringgit compensation allocation during the concession period. And the allocation can be channeled to meet other basic needs of Malaysians. Well, Sabah has done well in 2022 under the Hala Tuju Saba Majhijaya roadmap, having garnered 6.6 billion ringgit in revenue. Chief Minister Dr. Sri Hajiji Noor said it was the best performance by the state government since independence through the formation of Malaysia in 1963. Now, in his New Year message, Dr. Sri Hajiji said the state government will continue to implement a robust policy to bring in more investments to the state and will create more economic spin-offs, as evidenced by the recently passed budget of 5.138 billion ringgit for 2023. Well, under the Saba Majhijaya initiatives, the state achieved record foreign direct investment as well as domestic investments, among others, the 19.6 billion ringgit integrated green steel project at the Sipitang Oil and Gas Industrial Park. Sabah is also expected to collect revenue of 2.45 billion ringgit annually in royalties and state sales tax payments from oil and gas. However, he said all these successes and future plans will not mean anything if the state does not have a conducive environment to pursue its development goals. Coming up, Selangor bars recreation and state forests. Well, all flood relief centres, or PPS, in Terengganu have been closed as at noon today, marking the end of the second wave of flooding which struck on 18th December. Now, more than 40,000 people were evacuated to 315 PPS in all 8 districts in the state at the height of the floods. The Besar District Civil Defence Force Chief Captain P.A. Ramlan Ros Wahid said the PPS at Masjid Kampung La was the last to close at about 11 a.m. after 22 people from 5 families left the place. Now, they had been at the PPS since 18th December. Well, he said some of the evacuees will be staying with relatives as their houses had been swept away by flood waters. Now, meanwhile, Terengganu Disaster Management Committee Deputy Chairman Hanafi Ahmad said 12 families who lost their houses to floods would be given temporary accommodation by the state government. All recreational activities, including swimming and camping in forests and Taman Eco Rimba in Selangor, are prohibited until further notice. Well, the ban follows the order issued by the Selangor Government Secretary's office on 17 December to close all picnic and camping sites following inclement weather and the monsoon season. Now, State Forestry Director Dato' Ahmad Fadzil Abdul Majid said the department has also issued a notice of instruction to close operations in all recreational forest areas under its management. The notice was issued in October and still in effect until a period to be announced later. He warned that those violating the ban can be fined up to 30,000 ringgit or imprisoned for not more than 5 years or both. A Thai woman and an Indonesian girl were injured when the express bus carrying them skidded and overturned on the North-South Expressway, or PLUS, near Rawang this morning. The incident occurred about 500 meters from the Rawang Toll Plaza southbound. Well, Selangor Fire and Rescue Department Director Dato' Norazam Kamis said a distress call was received at about 1:46 a.m. And upon arrival, the team were informed of the accident involving an express bus carrying 30 passengers comprising 16 men, 12 women and 2 children, which overturned beside the highway. A 65-year-old woman was injured on the head, while the girl had leg injuries. Well, both victims were stable and were being treated at the Sungai Buloh Hospital. Gombak Police Chief ACP Zanal Muhammad confirmed the incident and said the case is being investigated under Section 42, Subsection 1 of the Road Transport Act. Well, a common bottlenose dolphin, which was found stranded at Air Papan Beach in Mersing this morning, has been rescued and released into the water. Well, Johor Fisheries Department Director Zainuddin Abdul Wahab said the dolphin was still alive when found but had injuries on its tail, which could be caused by it smashing into rocks or corals due to the rough seas. Well, he said the dolphin was released back into the water as the injuries were not serious following the department's standard operating procedures. Meanwhile, Mersing Civil Defence Force APM officer Captain Nur Najiba Abdullah, in a separate statement, said the dolphin was found by its officer manning the beach rescue tower, who was placing warning flags on the beach. Nur Najiba said the officer tried to release the stranded animal, which weighed between 30 to 35 kilograms, back into the sea, but failed due to high tide and strong waves. APM then contacted the Fisheries Office for further action, and they released the dolphin in Telok Buih. Coming up in our foreign segment, deadly fire at Cambodian casino blamed on electrical fault. Former Pope Benedict XVI has died at the age of 95, the Vatican announced today, almost a decade after he became the first pontiff to reside in 6 centuries. The German Pope Emeritus, whose birth name was Joseph Ratzinger, had been living a quiet life in a former convent inside the Vatican grounds since his shock decision to step down in February 2013. Well, his health had been declining for a long time, but the Vatican revealed on Wednesday that his situation had worsened, while his successor, Pope Francis, called for Catholics worldwide to pray for him. His death brings to an end an unprecedented situation in which 2 men in white, Benedict and Francis, had coexisted within the walls of the tiny city-state. While there is no rule book for former popes, Benedict's funeral will be held in St. Peter's Square on 5th January and will be presided over by Pope Francis. The body of Benedict will be displayed from Monday morning in St. Peter's Basilica to allow the faithful to pay their respects. An electrical fault caused a devastating casino fire in Poipet, Cambodia, that killed 26 people, with many of the bodies found in stairways or trapped in rooms after rescuers failed to reach them in time. Now, Deputy Chairman of the National Committee for Disaster Management also confirmed that 26 people, 17 Thais, 1 Malaysian and 1 Nepalese among them, died in the blaze.
អ្នកខ្លះក៏ឆេះអ្នកខ្លះក៏នៅទាំងមូលសន្លប់ស្លាប់ដោយអុកស៊ីហ្សែនតែម្ដងភាគច្រើនបាទអ្នកឆេះរួចហ្នឹងដោយសារវានៅតាមផ្លូវរត់មកចេញពីនឹងមកប្រហែលជាវាអត់អុកស៊ីហ្សែនដួលទៅនឹងឆេះដែរយើង
Well, he said authorities took too long to put out the flames, blaming the hotel casino's complex layout as well as a lack of rescue equipment. Cambodian emergency teams called off their efforts Friday evening as night fell, when Kun Kim confirming teams had searched all of the complex. The authorities said they were deliberating over whether charges would be brought against the hotel owners. A Bolivian judge on Friday sentenced key opposition leader Luis Fernando Camacho to 4 months in pre-trial detention following his arrest on charges of terrorism. Now, Judge Sergio Pacheco ordered the former presidential candidate be held at the maximum security prison of Chonchocoro in La Paz. Camacho, the right-wing governor of the country's economic powerhouse region of Santa Cruz, was arrested on Wednesday on terrorism charges, including for an alleged role in the resignation of left President Evo Morales in 2019. Now, the prosecution on Thursday had sought 6 months in detention for Camacho, whose arrest sparked clashes between demonstrators and police in the regional capital Santa Cruz, the most populous city in Bolivia. Camacho had been under investigation for his role in strikes and sometimes violent protests in 2019, prompted by Morales' disputed election to a 4th term. Well, Morales ultimately resigned under pressure after losing the support of the military. Well, hundreds of Senegalese demonstrated in Dakar on Friday to demand legal action after numerous irregularities were found in a report by the Court of Auditors on the management of anti-COVID funds. Now, the crowd gathered at the Place de la Nation in Dakar under the call of a dozen civil society organizations. A large police force was deployed around the square to supervise the rally, which was authorized by the prefect and supported by the opposition, which has repeatedly denounced the authorities' theft in recent days. In mid-December, an audit by the Court of Auditors of Senegal on the Response Fund against the effects of COVID-19, amounting to more than 1.1 billion euros financed by donors and the state in 2020 and 2021, pointed to shortcomings, overbilling, or lack of evidence of expenditure. While civil society is demanding the resignation of all those implicated and the reimbursement of the alleged misappropriations. The government has defended itself by stressing that the reported shortcomings concern less than 1% of the total amount of the fund, and has promised to follow the recommendations of the Court of Auditors. The demonstrators also chanted the name and called for the release of Pape Aliniang, a journalist detained for more than a month for allegedly, quote, disclosing information likely to harm the national defense, unquote. Coming up in sports, FCAM wants end to practice of puppet coaches. Well, Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh believes that the nation's yearning for a golden age in sports can be achieved, especially in Malaysia's quest for the first Olympic gold medal at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Well, Hannah said in a Facebook account that after holding the position for months, her recent engagements with various stakeholders show that sports success is not a one-man show, but contribution from various parties. Well, she said athletes, coaches, managers, sports associations, policies and legislations, corporates, families, schools, community and media are working in unison in producing world-class athletes and teams to meet the objective. While the road to gold is more than just returning home with a gold medal from Paris 2024, Hannah said it is also about developing sustainability in the sports ecosystem, such as collecting data for grassroots scouting, assisting the athletes in developing fan bases, and enhancing the metrics for sports success. Well, the Football Coaches Association of Malaysia, FCAM, has received reports about teams attempting to appoint so-called puppet coaches because they rent their licenses to third parties for next season. Now, B. Satyanathan, who returned unopposed as FACM president today, said with the teams busy charting their fortunes for the 2023 season, 1 Super League team and 2 M3 League teams had been identified to have offered local coaches to act as puppets.
Ada coaches-coaches yang menerima tawaran daripada kelab supaya mereka jadi ketua jurulatih. Tapi sebenarnya mereka bukan ketua jurulatih. Cuma syarat-syarat yang diletakkan dalam M3 adalah pasukan M3 itu dikendalikan oleh local coaches. In Super League also it happened. We have news that one coach who's not even a pro-licensed coach, he is running the show. And they have also invited some pro-license holder, local one, to be the dummy.
Satyanathan, who is a former Harimau Malaya coach, said although FACM had information on the issue, the association was unable to take action against the teams. Well, according to Malaysia Football League, or MFL regulations, a Pro A license for the AFC Pro Diploma is compulsory to serve as head coach in the top-tier Super League, while only local coaches are allowed to train the M3 League, which is under the jurisdiction of the Amateur Football League, the AFL. Harimau Malaya are left with no other choice but to win against Singapore in that crucial Group B match on Tuesday to qualify for the semi-finals of the 2022 ASEAN Football Federation Cup. Now, this is after the team from across the causeway played to a goalless draw against two-time champions Vietnam at the Jalan Besar Stadium in the Island Republic last night. Well, the goalless result saw Singapore collecting 7 points and seizing second place from Malaysia, who dropped to third place with 6 points, while Vietnam, who have the advantage of goal difference, remain group leader with 7 points. Well, despite dominating more than 70% of the possession in the first half, Vietnam's attacking machine looked unimaginative and failed to break through the home defense. Now, their best attempt came in the 17th minute through Wu Van Tan, only to be denied by veteran goalkeeper of the home team, Hassan Sani. While Singapore, who sometimes tried to sneak into Vietnam's territory, had a precious chance to score, but a left footer by young striker Ilhan Fandi soared too high in the 26th minute. The bland action from both teams in the second half saw Vietnam almost break the deadlock, but a solid kick by midfielder Nguyen Hoang Duc struck only the right post of the goal mouth in the 84th minute. The scoreless deadlock remained until the end of the match. Well, meanwhile, Harimau Malaya squad is positive on the outlook of beating Singapore in their clash on Tuesday. Now, Malaysia's centre defence midfielder Sharul Nazim Zulpakar said the national squad need to go big or go home in the match, as they have no other options to qualify for the semi-final stage.
Kita tahu kita wajib menang menentang Singapura. Kita tak boleh target seri. So bagi saya kita orang tak boleh nak ambil mudah. Kita kena bagi 100% pada game menentang Singapura selesai nanti dan mendapat 3 poin untuk kami melayakkan diri ke.
Meanwhile, for Mukairi Ajmal Mahadi, there is no room for error for Malaysia, and the recent loss to Vietnam must be taken as a good lesson ahead of the final Group B match against Singapore. He added Harimau Malaya players will not take for granted the opportunity given by head coach Kim Pan-gon at this point. Well, Liverpool came from behind to beat Leicester City 2-1. But only after 2 calamitous own goals from visiting defender Wout Faes in their Premier League clash at Anfield early this morning. Now, the Belgian centre-back miscued a clearance in the 38th minute to hand Liverpool the equaliser, after Leicester took a surprise 4th-minute lead through Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall and then put the ball into his net again on the stroke of half-time. Now, Leicester had grabbed the lead as Liverpool were caught out by a long clearance from goalkeeper Danny Ward, followed by 2 quick touches that put Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall away on goal. He ran almost half the length of the pitch, outpacing the defence to score. Now, Leicester looked good value for their advantage until Faes' miscued clearance of a ball into the box from Trent Alexander-Arnold looped up over Ward into the back of the Leicester net from a tight angle. Faes was also unlucky with Liverpool's second 7 minutes later, chasing back as Darwin Núñez chipped effort hit the Leicester post and rebounded back into play, hitting the on-rushing Faes on the knee and flying into the net. Liverpool stayed 6th but moved within a point of 5th place Manchester United, while Leicester remained 13th, 4 points above. And that concludes this evening's News at 10. In our top story, Prime Minister pledges to make economic revival and improve living standards. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. That's the 1st of January 2023. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM, and may the new year bring you happiness, peace, and prosperity.